Hi everyone, and welcome back to Liminal Space. Today I'm in discussion with Sabine Choucair. Sabine is a Lebanese humanitarian clown, storyteller and performer, with qualifications in performing arts from London and social therapy from New York. She is the co-founder of Clown Me In, a group that uses the art of clowning to fight social injustice, spreading laughter and providing relief in refugee camps and disadvantaged communities around the world. Sabine is also a member of Clowns Without Borders, and is the artistic director of the Caravan Project, an interactive and participatory live performance that brings together professional theatre makers and non-professional refugee artists, incorporating interviews conducted with people from Lebanon and Palestinian and Syrian refugees and sharing these with the world. So it's a big pleasure to welcome Sabine to a Liminal Space. Hello, Sabine.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. There's one more thing here that we have a school. We have the International Institute for Very, Very Serious Studies as well in Lebanon.
The International Institute for Very, Very Serious Studies. Well, coming from a career clown, I would expect nothing less.
We do, yeah. We that's it. We teach very, very serious studies in clowning, bouffon, street theater, social therapy, and then the artists who come and study with us, they go and work with communities, and they come up with street performance with youth in different communities, and they perform them. They do very, very serious performances.
Sounds fascinating. And I'm sure this discussion is going to take us some really interesting places. Just to contextualize what we're chatting about right now, my understanding is you're in Beirut in Lebanon.
Yeah, I'm in Beirut, and on the 4th of August we had a huge explosion. I mean, it is said to be the biggest third explosion in the world after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and we've had half of the city destroyed. 300,000 people lost their homes and apartments. They're displaced now. We've had, more than 6,000 people injured, badly injured, more than 200 deaths, and probably more because there are more than 50 people where we don't know their whereabouts. And it's basically a fuck up from the government, where they detained a ship in 2013 carrying I think 3,000 tons of highly explosive ammonium nitrate, and they just put the shipment in a hangar and in a hangar at the port of Beirut, and boom, it exploded.
And where were you, like, at that moment? What was your personal experience?
So I was on a Zoom call actually, and then I had a screen behind me, and I saw the screen moving, and then I felt the apartment going left and right, like the whole building, and I'm on the 13th floor. So I thought, oh my God, Israel is bombing. So my war instinct, having lived in war for such a long time, I ran to the hallway. My daughter was with the nanny, and they went under the table, and then and boom, the explosion happened. Of course, my husband, who's an American coming from Colorado, went up to the balcony just to see what's happening.
So we've got the tourist and we've got the local, yeah.
I mean, he's been here for such a long time, but it's also the instinct of the first instinct for me is like, okay, Israel is bombing. There was a bomb, and then another one is going to happen right now. So I ran, and I was like, I just screamed, I was just go inside. It's just and I just thought, at first I thought the bomb or the explosion happened right next to us, like in the building next to us or in downtown, which is 5 minutes away from where we are. And then, of course, it was so scary, like beyond scary. I had all the images of war again, and I was like, what am I still doing in this country? Why am I still here? Like, I don't want to live this again. And then, I texted my parents, my other family members, my friends, saying there was a bomb next to our place, or an explosion or whatever, but we're good. And I started from people, oh, there was an explosion next to us and we're good. And then I started thinking, well, if everyone in Beirut and outside of Beirut is thinking that this happened next to them, then what the hell is this? Like, why is it so? What happened? And then when we went to the balcony, and I mean, we saw this huge fire and I don't know what to do, like nuage. Well, I can't find the word in English. Yeah, and it took us some time to figure out what it was, but then the aftermath, I mean, it's so big, it's going to take us so much time to get over this. I don't know if we'll get over it. But,
yeah. And what emotion, if you were to say in one word, an emotion that you feel about just the fact that it happened and now that it's been revealed that, that it was this very explosive material that should never have been there in the first place. What's the emotion that you feel regarding this?
I mean, I feel extreme anger and extreme sadness. It's true. I'm so angry with the government. I mean, I've always been angry with the government. That's why I clown. But now, like, more than ever. And I'm so sad because, when we started, like the next day, we started going on the ground and helping out. And it's just so sad. It's beyond sadness. I don't know. It's distress. It's just seeing that all of our memories, all of the city, many of my friends were hurt, lost so much. Like, people lost their history, their yeah. I mean, so nice.
And is that anger still, I mean, I hear it in your voice and obviously the sadness and the anger together, but like when you walk out in the street, what do you see? What are people feeling and seeing? Have people come together, or is it a divided society even more?
Well, I mean, Lebanon is a divided society, and always has been, and it will always be a divided society. But what's really impressive is that after the explosion, the youth of the city or of Lebanon, actually, from all over Lebanon, came and started helping out to clean up the debris. Whereas none of the government officials or any of the government bodies did anything on the ground. And and one woman said it really, really nicely. She said, I think the new generation is very sweet, has a big heart in Lebanon. They all came together to help, to do something because they have hope, I think. I mean, yeah, but then of course you have the city, the Lebanon is divided. So you've got everyone got affected, everyone felt sorry, everyone felt angry, but many people now are just, going on with their lives.
Is it, from my perspective, in one way it's sort of sad that people keep going on in their lives, because I know that maybe it just means that they're sort of used to, the fact that you reacted in this way, which meant that you're actually used to it. To be perfect.
We shouldn't be like, why anybody should be should know what to do in these situations. Like, no, I want to be like my husband. I want to be like, okay, I'm gonna go outside.
It's very, I mean, I must say that probably my reaction would be to do exactly what your husband did. You know, I haven't had the misfortune to have to live through any war or civil unrest, really.
Yeah, and nobody else really.
Yeah, and I know that there are, you know, there are different ways that people can help. Some more honest or trustworthy than others. So, what I might do is with this conversation, I'll also provide some links if you can let me know where people can, or can they do that through Clown Me In, or how's the best place for people if they want to contribute positively?
Yeah, I mean, we started a fundraiser just for the victims of the explosion, and basically, I mean, it's a very small, you know, a tiny amount of money that we are using for extreme and urgent cases, because big NGOs now, you know, they need to go, they need to do the mapping and then see who's more in need, and then it just takes time. So what we're doing with the money, we're just giving it to the most urgent cases, you know, old people, people who are sick, need medicine, people, as many people are staying in their homes because they have nowhere else to go. They don't want to go to the shelters. They think if they leave their house, they won't be able to come back. So they're staying with windows open, doors open. So we're assisting these urgent cases. But also there are a lot of other initiatives happening, and they all have online donations that we can put here. You know, there's Arc-en-Ciel who are doing amazing work, working with people with disabilities, helping in rebuilding houses, taking care of the environment at the same time, because this is also something that, you know, with all the garbage and the debris and the glass that fell down. So they're trying to recycle everything, which we really need. Yeah, there's a bunch of there's an initiative called Impact Lebanon where they're raising money and then they're distributing to smaller NGOs. So, you know, there's a lot of really good people, good work happening on the ground.
Okay, great. I'll put those links. If people watching and listening can go to liminalspace.earth to Sabine's episode, there'll be the links. There'll be the links there. So you're a clown.
Yes.
Have you always been a clown?
I was a very serious child. No, I'm joking. I was. I've always been a rebel clown. Let's say. Meaning, you know, I've always loved to play and dance and do silly stuff, but I've always liked to go on chairs and tables and start giving big speeches about human rights, and so I think I've always been a rebel clown, thinking about, you know, humanity and human beings and what's fair and what's not fair in life.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is an amazing combination of, in many ways, what people may think are opposite things. You know, clowns are funny. Clowns are supposed to entertain and make you laugh. Rebels and human rights and things like this is, you know, something, but it's a perfect combination. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more about, you know, the work that you do and how you actually make these things come to, you know, come together. And you said that, which I didn't expect, but you said you clown because of the government. What does that mean?
Yeah, means that so the whole idea is I get so angry. I'm a very passionate person, right? So I get so angry. And when I'm angry at something, I think the only way that makes me feel better is to go and laugh about these things. And so I just use clowning to express my anger in a funny way. And the government here, who's been ruling us for the past 30 or 40 years, I can't keep track, just invites you to clown around all the time about everything they do or everything that they don't, obviously.
So was it for your own mental health and well-being that you decided to go to humor instead of anger?
Yeah, and I mean, the first time I discovered this, I was in London, I was studying there, and I was in a performing arts school, and then we had we had the last bit of the school where we do clowning. It's like the ending of a 2-year program where you dig a lot within yourself, and you find your space, and you find your ways of expression inside of a space and inside of this in this world. And then I discovered clowning, and that's the first thing that I discovered, is that I had this really army-like clown, very paranoid, and it was so funny. It was so funny to see this side. I mean, it was painful as well to see that I have this side. But it was also so funny, and it was so good for me to have people laugh at this clown, laugh at this side that I have. And I thought, wow, what an amazing tool. Like, how awesome it is to just be there, very transparent, very vulnerable, and just accept that it's ridiculous. I mean, who we are and how stupid we are and how silly, and it's just amazing. And that was my first experience with clowning and healing, if you want, and this amazing feeling of the awesomeness of clowning. And then I thought, okay, I'm just gonna drop everything else, stop everything else. Like, I don't want to be an actress anymore. I don't want to be performing on stage. I just want to be a clown, and I want to be with people, and I want to share this with people because it's just awesome. It's good for me. It's good for people who are watching. It's good for people who go into this experience. So I started doing these things. I started giving clown workshops so people can discover clowning and the playfulness and the great thing about laughing at our failures and at our stupidity and accepting it, and also performing, and bit by bit, I started taking social, societal issues, and environmental issues, political issues, and using clowning to tackle them.
Wow, and I'd love to now, just before we go into the setting up of Clown Me In and the work that you do, I'm really interested on a personal level, because I didn't think that it was something internal, and you use words like healing and things like this. It's very, very interesting for me. Does the idea of dressing up and physically changing your appearance and putting a red nose on and does it give you an excuse to be more free? Does it allow you to express yourself, that perhaps, does it rid you of some of the the limitations or neurosis that we just carry, that humans carry with us? Or am I reading too deep into this?
I think the fact, I wouldn't say the dressing up, but I would say the process into finding the playfulness that leads you to find this side of you, and this is where you feel free to really express and let these things be, out there. And the fact of the red nose, which, is the smallest mask in the world, you feel like, oh, you're hiding behind this red nose, so you're free to do whatever you want. But also, I mean, I used to think it's like the red nose where I hide behind it, and now it's if I'm wearing a nose or not, I'm just out there. Yeah.
And what was the process of Clown Me In? How did that come into existence?
When I came back from London to Lebanon, I started, doing some clown work and started telling people, oh, I discovered clowning. It's great. Let's just do things and stuff. And they would be like, yeah, cool. You can come perform at my son's birthday or my daughter's birthday. And I go, okay, that's not it. Precisely. So I think I started doing some clown activism here and there. And then I went to Mexico with a friend of mine. We were like, well, we do believe that clowning is much more, let's just start doing more humanitarian stuff. So, okay, what do we call this? Let's call it Clown Me In. Or should we call it Clown In Me, Clown Me In, blah, blah, blah. And we started it just like that. And, we in Mexico, we just did small things. We worked with a circus group. We taught at a university for a small period. We gave a clown workshop. And then we were like, well, let's dig deeper. And we did something crazy where I sent an email to someone I know in India. And I said, hey, we're two clowns and we want to go and give a clown performance and give some workshops. And she's like, yeah, great. Okay, I'll put you in touch with some people that might be interested. And then she put me in touch with so many people. And we organized a tour of 2 months to go see people, stay with people in different places, travel take planes, take internal planes, take buses with people we don't know. And we just went. And it was so crazy. Now thinking about it, I wouldn't do it again. Like, well, here are 2 girls. I mean, we were 3. The third was just a friend of mine who went and filmed with us. Three women going to India, not knowing anything, just wanting to clown around. And really, it was an amazing, amazing trip that was super hard because we got to work with the poorest of the poor people there. We got to work with women who are going through a lot of violence and all sorts of discrimination. And it was just so hard and a big trip. And it was the first trip we did. And I think from then on, Clown Me In started really forming. And we started saying, okay, we want to do more humanitarian work. We want to be more with people. We think this is making a difference. And then I came back to Lebanon and I started, giving workshops here more. I had a small group of 4 people who believed in clowning, engaged really with me, and now we're almost, I don't know, maybe 35 clowns, and we do we go to all demonstrations as clowns, fight for our rights. We do a lot of street theater work. So we collect stories from people, we record them, we edit them, and then we put them in a fun, hear the stories of people as they were told, but then we reenact them in a more fun way. So yeah, we do clown attacks. We attack the streets. And this was more, it came from the idea of, when we started having terrorist attacks, we were like, well, maybe we should change this to clown attacks and do some more fun attacks. Yeah, and we have the school now.
It's incredible. It seems to be a non-confrontational way to address really important issues. Would that be right? I mean, like, when people think of a demonstration and activists in the street, thinking of people not with a red nose, but with another sort of mask and violence and things like this. What do people think when you're juggling instead of, hurling insults at people?
No, I mean, it's a great way. It's an amazing way, because we're the only ones who actually, when we are in demonstrations, we get near the police and have an interact with them. Let's say, get our messages out. We also, I mean, not to say that demonstrations and the other ways are not right. They are very, very right. We're just on a different. We do it from a different perspective, and it's always important to have something that's light and that includes laughter, because when you laugh, you're more relaxed. You listen more. You accept what's been told to you in a better way, and so you hear it, and then whether you do something about it or you don't do anything about it is another story. But the way of how you accept what's been told is very different. I'll give you some examples just so you know what we're talking about. Let's say when we were protesting about the environment, the government wanted to put incinerators in Beirut, and knowing the government in Lebanon putting incinerators in Beirut, meaning they're going to put all the garbage in it. They won't put what has to be there in it, so it's like safe. And we know how many people live in Beirut or used to live in Beirut pre-4th of August. So we went and actually held the incinerator like a made by us in a very, it's not the real one, of course. And then we just went and it was for us, we put on black clothes, we put on black noses, and we were just saying goodbye to people and really crying because we're all going to die. So we just made a big funeral inside this protest, saying like, oh, you're going to be missed. And this, we even went to the police, to the army, and we started hugging them and saying goodbye to them and how great they were because we're all going to die. And this is like, it's funny. It's funny to see this, but it's also like, yeah, it is reality. This is going to kill us, but then we're laughing on this part. And it just makes people laugh and then think, okay, this is funny, but poignant.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the work that you do, perhaps the work that I'm trying to do, I'm a documentary filmmaker, bringing, highlighting environmental, human rights issues and things like this. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to reach people, to touch people. People are fatigued. People have heard it all before, and creative ways, 100% are the only way that change is actually going to happen. And how was the work that you're doing with the refugees? Can you talk about how that began, and can you just expand about sort of that amazing work?
Yeah, and this is also, it actually builds on what you just said. It's also the fact, what we did with refugees is we recorded their stories. And by recording their stories, we didn't record stories that say, oh, yeah, we left home and we had to walk for 5 hours and took a car. No, we all know these things. We recorded more personal stories that are, let's say, uh, one woman talked to us about her sexual life, and through her sexual life, how war affected this, and how she lost her house, went to her husband's family house where she had to stay with her parents-in-law, and whenever she would come out of the room, they would be like, "Ooh, what did you do? How was it? Blah blah blah." And then they lost this house as well, and she came to Lebanon, and she was living in a tent with her son and daughter, right, in the same tent, right? And then they had to put a fabric between their room and and the room of the kids, and whenever they wanted to have sex, they would put the Quran out loud on the radio. And so, like, if you hear these stories like that are very, very personal about one personal thing, and then you put them out, you share them with the audience, you share them with people, then people see themselves in these stories and don't say, oh yeah, I know this, I've heard this a million times. No, this is something that is lived. Like, this is a daily life detail that makes a big difference in our lives, and that every person of us has one sort of this experience. And so they will get to understand more what's happening to refugees. And that's the thing. So we've done a lot of recording. We've recorded more than 200 stories with people, and we picked some of them uh, and put them on the Caravan, and with this project that we call the Caravan. And it's basically recorded stories, actors who are non-professional or semi-professional, coming from the camps, or mixed with some professional actors coming from Lebanon or Syria. And they perform these stories on the roof of a van and on a platform in front of a van. And we went to the most hostile villages and cities in Lebanon. We did these performances on the streets, and it was actually fantastic because you can really hate the other person, but then when you listen to the story, when you listen to the stories of people, you cannot hate people as much. You can't.
I absolutely I agree, and I think
Yeah.
that I agree for the exact reason that you gave, that once you see yourself in that person, you're forced to actually confront that that person is not the other. They're human just like us. And I think what was, for me, really interesting about that story that you told was that also, these a lot of films, a lot of stories, a lot of journalistic reports mostly, and news reports, they really also create this like stereotype of what someone, a refugee has a sex life, aren't they just victims that we need to just feel sorry for? And,
Absolutely.
I loved, yeah, I really love hearing that. I think that that's the real challenge from here going forward in storytelling in general, is sort of creative stories, but just as importantly, creative ways of telling those stories. And then, excuse me. So then, obviously, there's two factors. You are showing these stories to people that may not.
Sorry, you froze. You froze. Can you repeat the question?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to me as well, because obviously you've got two sides to this. You're sharing stories to an audience, and you want them to understand the plight of, in this case, refugees. But you've also got the refugees themselves, and I know you work a lot with kids and, you know, playing and clowning and things like this. And so what impact does that have on the actual people themselves that are playing and having, you're providing people with you're providing people with a form of entertainment and enjoyment as well. And I know a lot of the time in my own work with asylum seekers, refugees, that's something that's often forgotten, that, you know, kids don't want to be involved in politics. They don't really understand why they're there. They just want to be kids and to have fun. Can you talk about that part of your work?
Yeah, I mean, well, for the caravan, let's say, the people who were playing, they were not kids. They were adolescents, and some were adults. Or, but it was. So I'll have two answers. So people who were involved in the Caravan Project, for them, it's amazing to be able to tell the story. Not only tell the story, but know that people are actually listening and watching and laughing, and then not laughing, and telling, having conversation. So it was important to not only tell, but to also see that this telling is having a big reaction from people. And now, and of course, movement and learning this expressing through the body is also a marvelous thing, where you feel free. When you're traumatized or attacked, or you're angry, or your body closes, and it first, the trauma hits the body. The first thing, you just become heavy, and just using the body to just express, to move, to this by itself is very healing and therapeutic in a way. And then when we perform for kids, which is the other thing that we do in Clown Mien, and I do a lot with Clowns Without Borders, where we travel all around the world, and we go where we're invited to places, to people who have gone through war, or environmental disaster, or displaced people, all sorts of things. And just the fact that you enter a space where people are down and depressed, and kids are just like, they're just stuck in that place. And then you come with clowns, and you just play, and you offer this joy, music, freedom. It just changes the whole spirit, the whole feeling, and the whole thing switches to a more playful, lighter place, full of colors, of laughter, of silly things, of silliness. Silliness is important. Games, play, these are all important things. So kids all of a sudden feel more free. They I don't know, they perform their best. I don't know. They're just like, when we always get kids who, when we want to leave, like saying, "Oh, please come back," blah blah blah, or reactions like, "Oh, you were even more fun than when I play football." Wow. I mean, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Or we hear, parents saying, "Oh, I haven't seen my kid laughing for the past, months or two."
It's such a fine line here. You're talking about clowning, and you're talking about having fun, and I'm finding myself getting emotional and hearing the stories on the other hand, because there's this it's a temporary relief in some way, I guess, but it obviously has an ongoing benefit, as an alternative therapy.
Yeah, I mean, it is when you go there, these people live the moment, live a very important, fun moment that I think many of them keep remembering, because from all the tours I've made throughout the years, we've we've gone to like, let's say with Clowns Without Borders, we've been following the refugee route for the past 4 or 5 years, and going to the Balkans, going to Greece, going to some places in Europe. And I've actually seen people a year after year moving from one place to another, still stuck, from one camp to the other. But they remembered me. Like they had, I'm saying me, not just me, but the group, but I'm just talking about, my personal experience. Like, they recognize us, they know us by names, uh they know that we've been there. It stays in their mind. I mean, and I get one time I got and this is like a very dear story to my heart. So I got a message through Facebook of one girl saying, "Hi, Sabine, I'm so glad I found you. I looked over social media because there's this guy who I'm working with in Germany who's a displaced, who's an immigrant, and he left Syria. And he told me that he has a picture of you and him on the port of Lesbos before he took the boat to go to go to Athens, and from Athens to Germany. And he said that he just wanted to say thank you because you welcomed him, and he that was the first time he felt welcomed in Europe. And then she sent me the picture, and for me it was like, it's it's so touching. It just tells us that at the end of the day, what we need in life is just one moment of real connection and real joy, and real interaction with people. I mean, this guy, I had like a maximum of 1 minute interaction with him, and that's it. That was it. But it stayed. I mean, we just did silly things. We took a selfie and left.
I can see you're getting emotional. I'm getting emotional as well. It's I mean, but this is life, like this is the real life. This is what, when you are in touch with these people in these real struggles and situations, this is a reality. And when they're not welcome, when they don't feel welcome, when they haven't been welcomed, when they've been turned back from borders, when they've been told to go back from where you came from, and then you find someone with a red nose, or not with a red nose, but that just looks at them as a person and respects them for who they are. It's, yeah,
Yeah.
I know that you must have impacted and touched so many people. It's incredible. What about music? What role does music play in your work and in these performances?
A big role. I mean, I'm sadly not a musician, but I always, make sure to have music in the shows, a musician with us. Um, I mean, music is by itself so healing. Um, and it just adds this happiness, or any kind of emotion to we want to convey. Uh, yeah, it's as important as anything else we do. It just it goes hand in hand with what we do.
And the fact that you are a woman and the fact that you speak Arabic and the fact that you're from Lebanon, how does that differ from me, for example? I'm a man, I don't speak Arabic. Do you find that that enables you to get closer to other people more quickly, and particularly women who may feel a trust towards you?
Yeah, amazing question. Um, Actually, being a woman, so I don't. Here's one thing I don't do when I perform outside of Lebanon for refugees. I don't speak Arabic to them. I don't let them know that I speak Arabic until the end, uh, because I feel language doesn't matter actually at all. It, we don't need to have a conversation in the beginning. We just need to play. We just need to connect, and we connect with the bodies. We connect with the eyes. We connect with the music. We connect with the interaction. It does make me the fact that I'm a woman, it makes it so much easier to be around other women who, just also being a very open-minded, no, I mean free, not open, like free with my body, and just being like going near them and interacting with them makes it, of course, easier than having a man, to be honest. But I do the same with men. Like I treat women and men in these situations exactly the same. And I think just the fact that I've gone through war makes me more bold in a way to go to people and not care about touching issues like death and war and blood and I don't know. It has to do with thinking how much I can take and and how us, for example, as Lebanese, we make jokes about terrible things, and we use, I mean, it's like, let's say, or not even jokes, or like the words we use, or like we say, oh, I hope you bury me, like just to say, oh, I love you so much, right? So that's the fact of being coming from war, and that's what it helps on the ground. And then, of course, after the performances and after the interaction, when I start speaking Arabic, it just opens up better, more conversation where they tell more stories. But it doesn't in the beginning. I don't use it at all.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I thought it would have been the absolute opposite. I thought that would have been your, I hope this is not insensitive to say, but your passport to get close to people. Right. That's, it just shows it perfectly demonstrates the limitations in many ways of language, and not just the limitations, but the strength of just personal contact. And it's a very interesting thing. I've never made a film in English. I've never understood anything that I've filmed. And it's really hard to explain to people how you actually can make a film that makes sense, or at least I hope makes sense, when you have no idea what the people that you're filming are talking about. But there's something, and I don't know what it is, that supersedes language in it's the human spirit in lots of ways. And so human spirit and hope. How important is hope in the situations that you go working with refugees?
I mean, it's basically the most important thing, because if these people don't have hope, and if us as clowns don't try to also show hope, nobody can survive. I mean, why would you survive in this terrible world if you have no hope? And that's the most tricky part, is that sometimes you get to a point where you're like, it's very, very difficult to be hopeful and to find hope. So you need to work extra hard to find it. But it's what keeps us, it's what makes us resilient as human beings and what keeps us alive, actually.
And you yourself as well, do you have a hope that your work is, I mean, I know that your work is having an enormous impact, but I'm sure that, like all of us, we also have times of questioning what we're doing and things like this. How does hope, work on a personal level with yourself?
I mean, this also comes in a very good timing, this question, because I'm living the aftermath of the explosion, and I'm re-questioning myself now. Like we're preparing ourselves to go and perform, and I think the first week or the first week and a half, I was thinking, is it the right thing to do now, and can I do it? Because I can't find hope. I couldn't find hope, and I only had dark thoughts. I really lost hope, and I was feeling so down. And I guess the answer to this was basically starting rehearsals and laughing again and having fun with the other clowns. And I was like, oof, no, there's something there that is helping me personally now. So yeah, let's go and perform next week.
Wow.
I don't know if I answered.
No, you answered it beautifully. So is that what you're, like right now, if we bring the discussion to the present, is that what you are doing at the moment on the ground in the streets?
Yeah, we stopped helping with cleaning up. We are now just helping with the money we're getting on the online crowdfunding, and we started rehearsing, and we're going to start performing as of the 5th of September with like this here, just because I have it. Masks on, red nose on top of the mask.
Ah, fantastic. I was hoping you had a red nose handy. Yeah.
I do. And it's always here. So now we're rehearsing. We're still, today is going to be our first rehearsal face-to-face with the masks on. We've been rehearsing online. But yeah, we're going to be performing in public spaces too. Yeah.
And do you expect to get a 100% positive reaction from people?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think people need it. When you offer joy and laughter and music and fun, even if or mostly when you're really down, it will lift you up.
Yeah.
And we need it. We really, really need it. I mean, 100% is a big thing to say, but 90%.
And the fact that...
The other safe side. I don't want you to come next week and say, okay, was it 100%?
Well, I won't come next week. I'm in Melbourne. I'm locked in my apartment with these restrictions. I can't even leave my my neighbourhood. But I've never been to Lebanon. I've been to neighbouring countries. I've never had the opportunity or pleasure to, but I definitely hope to. So that's a perfect way to talk about the future. One day I'm going to be in Lebanon. I'm going to be walking the streets of Beirut, and will I see you clowning in the streets? Is this something that you see as your, your ordination for life, or?
Hopefully. I mean, you'll see me clowning somewhere. maybe not in Beirut, but somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll definitely keep doing this up until my body asks me to stop.
Yeah, and I know you have a young child. If he or she knocks on your door one day and says, "Mum, I want to be a clown."
Oh, wow, that would be fantastic. I don't think she would though. She's like, clowns. Oh, that's a lot of clowns in my life. I don't know. She's only 6 months, so. But yeah, definitely, it's the most beautiful thing. I mean, I don't know. For me, I think I always consider myself so lucky to have found clowning, and it makes me so happy.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. We don't know each other personally, but I just want to say thank you for being so open in these questions and in these chats. What I'm most getting out of this for myself, for my work, for myself, is this word hope, actually, and resilience, and creatively, telling stories and touching people in these ways. And in many ways, that's sort of the whole reason I started this podcast, was to be able to speak to people like you and share these stories. So my heart goes out to your city and your friends and family. And once again, I'll be putting links to where people can support. And thank you so much for the chat. And I hope that your city rebounds as quickly and as well and as united as it can.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you.
Many thanks for watching. I'd love for you to be notified of new episodes, so subscribe and hit the bell button below. Like and share this video, and feel free to leave any comments or questions below. You can also visit liminalspace.earth to discover all episodes. But for now, many thanks again, and I'll see you next time in a liminal space.